Most ghost towns die from something obvious: a fire, a flood, a railroad that moved on. But the truly unsettling ones just fade away, leaving behind a puzzle. And this is the story of a place like that, a town with a name that sounds like it was pulled from a nightmare: Pandemonium. Picture it, the 1790s. Pandemonium was a community of over 100 homes carved out of the American frontier. Go there today and you'll find nothing. The homes, the streets, the people, it's all gone. All that's left is one clue: a forgotten cemetery on a lonely hill. The answer to what happened here is buried with the people in those graves. And it's not what you think. In the late 1700s, German pioneers built a future for themselves in an isolated Pennsylvania valley. They were totally cut off from the nearest town. It was an 8-mile trek over a mountain, and life was brutal. Stories tell of women using burning poles to keep wolves away from their log cabins. And even the town's name is a clue. One legend says it came from a massive fight over whether church sermons should be in German or English, a scene described as pandemonium. And another darker story says the original landowner looked at the rugged valley and wrote Pandemonium on the deed, the name John Milton gave the capital of hell in Paradise Lost. And by the 1790s, the town was a living community etched into the wild. For nearly a century, Pandemonium's lifeblood was the forest. The economy was built on logging and tanning animal hides. In 1840, a large steam tannery became the industrial heart of the community, providing jobs for decades. Then around 1890, the tannery closed for good. And for Pandemonium, this was the beginning of the end. And with the main source of jobs gone, the town began to bleed out. It wasn't a sudden exodus. One family would leave, and then another the next year. And Pandemonium didn't die with a bang, it died with a whisper. When you look for the reason Pandemonium died, you won't find a smoking gun like the mine fire that doomed Centralia, Pennsylvania. There are no records of a great fire, a plague, or a flood. The town just withered, and through the early 1900s the population dwindled. In 1912, the schoolhouse held its last class for the children of the final family, the Sundays. And the next year, they moved away, and for the first time in a century, the valley was empty. And one last resident, living alone, passed away there in 1985. And with him, the final living memory of the town was gone. And the forest took back the fields, the homes rotted away, and Pandemonium was erased. And for decades, Pandemonium, it was just a name on an old map. But one piece of the puzzle survives: the town's cemetery. And known as Pioneer Cemetery, it sits on a hillside overlooking the empty valley. The forest is closing in, and many gravestones are so weathered you can't read the names. Others are just simple rocks jutting from the ground. And this cemetery became the central clue. It was the only place left where the names of Pandemonium's people were still visible, holding the key to their disappearance. And at first, the cemetery only adds to the mystery with local legends of ghostly figures and an unsolved murder from 1882. But those are red herrings. The real truth is quieter. You see it when you read the stones as a whole. Many graves belong to children and young women. The stones tell a heartbreaking story of babies who didn't survive infancy and mothers lost in childbirth. This was the brutal reality of the town's isolation. With the nearest doctor a treacherous journey away, a fever or a difficult birth was often a death sentence. And the town wasn't murdered, it was a place where survival was a constant struggle of life and death. This is where it all clicks. The secret of Pandemonium isn't about who is in the cemetery, it's about who's missing. And the graves tell the story of the first settlers and their descendants. But when you get to the late 1800s, the burials of young people stop. And the older residents are there, the ones who lived into the 20th century. But their children aren't. And it's not that they didn't die, they just didn't get buried here, because they had already left. And the new generation, born into a world of railroads and factories, saw no future in a dying valley. And they moved away, started their own families, and were buried in other cemeteries. And there was no dark mystery. The town disappeared because its future walked away. And today, all that's left of Pandemonium are the crumbling stone foundations of the old tannery, slowly being swallowed by the forest. And the only real proof that the community ever lived and died here is that silent, lonely cemetery on the hill. And the gravestones are no longer clues, they are a memorial. And they stand as a silent witness to the rugged people who built the town from nothing, and to the forces of time and progress that quietly erased it. There are countless forgotten stories like Pandemonium's waiting to be rediscovered. If you want to uncover more of these hidden histories, make sure you subscribe. Every place has a story, even if there's no one left to tell it. You just have to know where to look. Y'all have a good night. Thanks for listening.